Welcome to Go Lurk Yourself, a podcast about playing video games and streaming on the internet. My name is Crunky.
And I am Cherry Cake.
Today, we are going to talk about a lot of gaming news that's come out over the past couple of weeks. But first, let's talk about what we've been playing lately. Cherry, how you doing? What have you been playing lately?
Well, because we haven't had an episode out for a couple of weeks, we didn't manage to get one recorded last week. So I've been kind of dipping in and out of a few different things. The first one was GTA 3, which I ended up streaming and finishing on stream. Which was quite a nice
retro
yeah
throwback. Yeah. I watched a bit of it. It looked like you were having a good time with it.
Yeah, it is one of my probably all-time favorite games, just one of many. But it's a lot of it has a lot of memories tied to it, because I think it came out at that point where I was sort of really getting into gaming, and as far as I can recall, I don't think I was quite old enough to actually get it when it came out, and my parents wouldn't let me get it.
Right.
Because, it is a rated 18 game. It's quite violent. You end up, shooting people, running people over, getting hookers and all that kind of thing.
What's funny is you look at it now, and it looks like almost like a cartoon because of the graphics.
Yeah, like probably compared to 18 rated games these days, it's very tame.
Right.
But at the time, I imagine it was quite controversial. So yeah, I played through that and really enjoyed it. Granted, there are some issues with it because it is it a PlayStation 2?
I think originally it was on PS2, yeah.
PS2 title. So there's some things in it that we wouldn't be accustomed to in with the games that we have now. So, for instance, the camera is really, really rough to use sometimes because you don't have the freedom to move it by yourself, while you have the right analog stick to use a camera. It's a camera that goes into your body, and you move it while you're stood still. So it's just like a look around camera from your perspective rather than a free view camera.
Yeah,
so
that was back in the genre where they were still trying to figure out the standard. I kind of miss some of the times before everything got boiled down to just one thing that everyone's used to, because people would try to do things that were initially uncomfortable but ended up being better.
Yeah, I definitely remember, because I think it's obviously what we were just used to at the time. But when I first played it, I don't remember having any kind of problems with the camera. But because we're so used to having that free third-person view camera now, going back to it is really it's really difficult to use sometimes.
I kind of chalk it up to the it's not exactly one-to-one, but I assume that you're typing on your computer, you type on a QWERTY keyboard, the QWERTY.
Yes.
Now, the history behind that, I'm assuming. It basically, for those of you at home that don't, back in the mechanical typewriter days, they put the common letters far apart because the hammers on the mechanical typewriter would get stuck if people typed too fast. So to slow people typing down, they rearranged it into what is the standard now. And the sad history is there's actually a more natural keyboard that allows faster. I don't even know what it's called because who uses it, right? But we're now stuck on a standard that purposefully prohibits speed and slows us down.
Yeah.
And because we're human beings, that's what we want. I wonder how much of that happens in the gaming industry, where if anybody comes out with a controller that's anything unlike the Microsoft 360 keyboard, where you've got the four face buttons, the four shoulder buttons, and two sticks. Yeah. If anybody comes out with something other than that, everyone's like, "Boo!" Hiss.
No, yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. I mean, it's because it's such a normal thing that we're accustomed to now. Yeah. If there are any games, like you say, that get brought out with a slightly different setup, controller wise, people just go nuts. And like, "Oh, this game's garbage. You can use the controller." It's like, no, I'm sure the game is okay. It's just that we're so used to something, we can't get to grips with something different.
Now that said, I'll tell you, where I had this idea before was when Star Fox Zero came out for the Wii U, and it had all this weird control scheme. I'm like, I trust Nintendo; they wouldn't put something out that's stupid. I just got to get used to it. Oh god, I was so wrong on that one.
Speaking of like retro stuff as well, take a look at the N64 controller.
Exactly.
I love the N64, and I have no issue with that controller at all. But there are some people that absolutely hate it.
Yeah, the people that I think hated it usually like didn't ever really use it a lot because as soon as you play GoldenEye and you have a trigger button, you're like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, that was GTA 3. I've also been playing another one on my Switch, which I picked up last week. It was one that I've been thinking of playing for a while. Actually, I saw some videos of it on YouTube, and I was like, that looks quite interesting. And this is Death Road to Canada.
Oh, okay.
So,
what's that one like?
This one is it's a weird game to describe it, but basically it is what the title is. You're on a death road to Canada, and the world has basically come to an end, and it's been hoarded with zombies. And you begin in a car. You're on a road. It's just a simple side-scrolling pixel animation, and you have text prompts of things that are happening to you and your character. So you have things like morale and strength and medical and all those kinds of stats. And what the premise of the game is that you have to make it from the starting point to Canada. And off the top of my head, I can't remember how many days it is. But it's... Oh,
you have a timer?
Well, yeah, you have to... I think it's something like 14 or 15 days or something like that. And what happens is, as you progress down this road, you come across various locations, and you have the opportunities to go into these locations, like buildings, just general areas that are covered in zombies. And depending on the time of day, what the weather's doing as well, it affects the zombies. So they could be really, really aggressive, or they can be quite slow moving and you know, very, very what's the word I'm looking for?
Docile?
Yes. Yeah.
It sounds to me like, and it may be a conversation I had with B-Shiv years ago, because I think he was telling me about it when it came out on PC.
He has played it. I know he's played it, yeah.
It's like the old Apple II Gym Oregon Trail, but with action sections in it.
Yes, definitely equate it to that as well, yeah. But like he says, there are areas where you do actually get to participate as the character, and you go around these little areas that you stop at and collect weapons and medical supplies and food and fuel as well for your car. So there's it's a really interesting game and quite addictive. I didn't realize how much I would be willing to play it after I'd put it down the first time. Because it can be really, really harsh. Like there's different scenarios that you can go into. So you can just have like a normal playthrough, or you can have like a hardcore playthrough, or one that has specific characters. Which, by the way, you can actually customize your characters, so you can put yourself in the game if you really wish to.
Nice.
Yeah. So going into it, like. It's really fun to see all the weapons that you can pick up, because there's like really, really useful ones. So you get like the standard baseball bat, you get a hammer, there's golf clubs, you know, if you come across like a sports store. But then there's really, really obscure, like just obnoxious ones. You can have a foghorn.
Foghorn?
Yeah. Oh, what do you guys call it?
Yeah, no, that's what was like a little can horn you blow.
Yeah.
What does it just scare the zombies away?
It puts them on the butt. It produces like a sound barrier, and it just knocks them over. So it's got some really really cute and interesting aspects to it like that. But it can be a really, really difficult and harsh game, and you will get to a point where it's just impossible to beat. I haven't actually gotten to Canada yet. I haven't beaten the game. Because it ends up where the odds just stack against you. You run out of petrol, you run out of gas, and you lose your vehicle. You end up being in the dark with no torch, or flashlight. And you just get surrounded by zombies, and they are incredibly aggressive, and you just get eaten and die, basically.
Now, it sounds to me like it's a bit of a roguelike or procedurally generated levels.
Yes, yeah.
Nice.
There are some definite set ones.
Okay.
So when you early on, if you fail to get any gas and your car runs out and you end up abandoning it, you run down the road, and what it will do is will put you into like a freeway kind of zone, which is covered in like destroyed cars. But then you spy one at the end of the section, and you take off in that car. So
Okay. So you can get a new one if you lose or
Yeah.
if you run out of gas. Gotcha.
yeah. While this is a fantastic game, it's really really a great style that they've done it in the pixel style. Great combat as well. There is one thing that really, really bugs me about this, is that you don't have the ability to save.
Oh, so it's like a one and done thing?
Yeah. The way they've done it is I actually had to look it up because I was getting frustrated with it in the fact that I couldn't find if or how to save during any part of the game. And what the system that they've implemented is that while you're on the road, before you come up to any kind of area that you can choose to go into, you have to go to the start menu and just quit to the quit to the main screen, and it says it will automatically save it for you. But there's no like save slot.
Scumming.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
That's probably why they've done it. I can understand that.
Yeah.
But it is kind of frustrating if you get to like, say, I think the furthest I got was day 5, or like 5 days to go to get to Canada, and
Okay.
I ended up dying, and I must have been playing it for about, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour.
Oh, you lost all that progress?
Yeah, I ended up dying because I just got overwhelmed by zombies and we ran out of everything. So just that small little
It's
problem.
kind of popular in roguelikes, though, to have it be like, to stop save scumming and also to like, make the replayability there. Like, oh, I got real close. Let's try again and try to make different decisions this time.
Yeah.
The first roguelike I think I really got into was called FTL, or Faster Than Light. Did you ever
Yeah,
play
I've seen
one?
that. I haven't played it, but I've seen it.
Yeah, it's real like simplistic. It almost looks like Atari graphics.
Yeah.
But it's that. It's not really. It's kind of like playing a game of solitaire. It's not about winning every time you play. It's about playing 100 times to win the one game.
Yeah. Yeah. I did feel like when I got to the furthest that I got, I definitely made progress. But then I went into a game after that, and then I literally died 2 days into the trip. So
Man,
it varies quite heavily. In
RNG of it.
yeah, definitely, yeah.
Well, it sounds like it's a fun little game to have on the Switch, especially when you're like on the move or something.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it because it is only like I think like 11 quid. So
Okay.
yeah, for the price that you pay, there's a hell of a lot of replayability in it.
That sounds like it's on Steam right now for 15 as well. So that sounds
Yeah.
about like the normal price. They don't have the Nintendo Switch tax like Final Fantasy 12 or whatever one came out for $50, and you could buy it right now on the PlayStation for 20.
Oh, I saw someone tweet about that. They were like, I think it was they bought it the day before for $50, and then it went on sale, and they played it on for
Okay.
like 20. They were like, what?
But you
Things
can't
happen.
play your PS4 on the go unless you have a really big backpack and a battery in it.
No, that's true. Yeah.
So those are the games you've been playing. I went on a trip this week, hence why we had no episode last weekend. But my wife and I celebrated our 20th, and we went on a road trip, and we took our
20th
Switch.
anniversary, by the way, guys. They're not 20 years old.
That way we just turned 20. Shut up, Sarah. We packed up our Switch and went on the road, and it was funny because the way the area we went to was very hilly,
Yeah.
and I was driving, and Dee was going to play. I go, you didn't touch the Switch the whole way here. She goes, I was actually getting car sick because of all the hills and the like bobbing and weaving in and out. And when I would get up in the morning and wait for Dee to get ready, those of you who have significant others who spend a lot of time getting ready in the morning, you can appreciate this. I played Box Boy and Box Girl on the Switch. We were supposed to review this last week, but we ended up running out of time before we all had to go. But basically, it is a 2D puzzle platformer. You run around as Box Boy. You can duplicate yourself into various shapes and sizes to pass barriers, and it's pretty basic formulaic gameplay, but at the same time it's classic gameplay, so I really enjoyed playing it. It was perfect to sit up and play 2 or 3 levels if you need to, or let's say your wife's getting ready and you have an hour and a half to kill, you can get through like 4 or 5 worlds.
Dee's going to kill you for this because Dee listens to these.
She knows I'm messing with her. But no, it was a lot of fun. I played that on the Switch. I also played some Tetris 99, which, by the way, so we always talk about general, the average skill level in a battle royale. That also applies to Tetris, because I've not played it in a couple of months, and I was sitting there, we were on the hotel Wi-Fi, and I'm like, oh, that's a stable enough connection, I'll try it. And I'm doing very well. I get to the end where the pieces are falling faster than free fall. Like you literally you can do one spin and put it in, and that's toward the end. That's people can only keep that up for so long. So normally when you get to that point where the blocks are falling that fast, you're guaranteed like a top 5, top 1, 2, 3. But because it's been so long, the player base has gotten so much better. I was number 11, and it was all I could do to squeak it out.
Oh man!
And I don't know. It was a lot of fun, but I was like, holy cow, the pace has gotten a lot better.
I'm surprised people are still playing that, actually, because I thought it would be like a bit of a flash in the pan kind of game.
Well, I think it's sort of like Tetris is a classic game. I mean, it's been around for a long time. I mean, there's people posting pictures on Reddit when Tetris 99 came out that they still have their old Game Boy and play Tetris on it, or their parents do, their grandparents do.
Yeah.
But, the other game I've been playing recently was Resident Evil 7 on the PC, and wow, I really enjoyed Resident Evil 2 Remake, and this is a first-person version in the same engine. Obviously, it's older; it's been out for a few years, but wow, it's really good, and it's really scary and gruesome, and a lot more jump scares in this one, like on purpose. You'll be moving along, and there'll be a scripted scene where someone will grab you from behind, and in first person mode, that scares the absolute shit out of you because you have no idea
you can't
it's coming.
see it. Yeah,
right, and it's super gruesome. Like, do you remember in the Resident Evil 2 remake, there's the part where you find the guy, you pull his head open, and is like all.
How can I forget? Right,
and that's like that, and maybe a couple things at the end are the most gruesome things you see in the whole game.
Yeah,
this game is like all that. I mean, it's like. You have a I don't want to ruin it with any spoilers, but you have a fight with a guy with a chainsaw, and
oh yeah,
it's a 3-phase fight, and you bury the chainsaw in the guy's head multiple times, and it's like super graphic. It's right there on the screen, and because it's in first person mode, it's like right in your face the whole time you're doing it. So it's really like, for me to go, wow, that's kind of almost borderline over the top. It's got to be bad.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I remember Dee was talking or saying in chat, probably, or it might have been before you played it, but the fact that you don't really scare easy, and that this one has got you on the edge of your seat. So
yes, definitely,
it must have some backbone to it for sure.
But yeah, it's been enjoyable. Like it's fun to be scared. It's also got the good Resident Evil, find the keys, conserve your ammo.
Yeah.
Backtracking and all that stuff, and it's got a unique setting too with the for that series. Instead of it just being all about zombies, it's about this redneck family up in the mountains somewhere, and they're obviously mutated by the Resident Evil virus, because they're this one guy that you run into right early in the game, you kill him multiple times, he just keeps coming back. It literally this boss fight, you end up like chopping him up into into nothing but legs, and his legs stand up and try to walk on their own at the end of the fight, and your guy's like, "Are you kidding me? I hope you could you please die?" And it's like, what is going on? But it's entertaining.
Yeah, there's always one part that sticks out for me for that from that game, and it's quite early on, but it's when it's not really a spoiler, but you find your significant other, and she ends up stabbing you in the hand. Is it like a screwdriver or something?
And a knife in the hand and then a screwdriver in the hand later. Yeah, you're right.
She like pins your hand to the wall with whatever it is she puts in. And I always remember that part, because I think I was like, that's gotta hurt.
I've never stuck a screwdriver through my hand, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it probably hurts.
Yeah.
But yeah, she does. First, she tries to stab you with a knife to that hand, and then later on, she sticks a screwdriver through that same hole into the wall. Yeah, I just played it recently, so I remember.
Yeah.
But
It should be interesting, like, because is it Resident Evil 4 and there's another one coming to the Switch as well?
Revelations, I think, came to the Switch,
There's
which
two
was
that's
already on
been
the Wii U.
that are coming up for release. If you give me a
Oh,
second,
okay. No,
I'll
I
change.
don't
I'll
know
have
off
to
the top of
check.
my head. Yeah, I was you know our streamer friend from Australia named Erasmus or Razzle Dazzle.
Yep.
He was in my stream watching RE7, saying that he and his friend, based off watching me play it the other day, played couch co-op version of Revelations, and he says he can't normally do scary games, but when he and his friends had a few beers, it was made it doable.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can imagine that would be quite fun actually.
Yeah.
So it's Resident Evil 4, the original Resident Evil, and Resident Evil 0 that are all
Okay. Yeah.
coming soon.
I have the HD remake of Resident Evil 1 on the PC, and then I've got 4 on the PC, and I think I may have 0. I don't really remember.
Is it the original Resident Evil with Jill?
Valentine, I think. Yeah, Jill, and there's a Chris guy.
Is that the one with, you were almost a Jill sandwich?
Yes.
Ah.
I think that's it. I'm not the biggest fan of Resident Evil, so I don't know all the ins and outs. I know B-Shiv and I played 5 on stream one time, and
Yeah.
that was 5 was pretty bad. I hear 5 and 6 are almost almost like 5's a good co-op game, but 6 is almost universally hated.
Oh dear. I've heard 4 is probably one of the, if not the best one.
Yeah, it's the most video gamey one. It might not be scary, but it's got like the mechanics of an action game built into it, and it's third person. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's not scary at all. I've not finished it, but from just the reputation that it has, it's got a lot more like boss fights, and there's areas of the game where you have to survive, and
Yeah. Yeah. Should be interesting.
but yeah, it's been entertaining. What do you say we get on to the gaming news of the quarter or the month? We don't do a whole lot of gaming news whole episodes, but I thought it was about time. And to be honest, there's not a whole lot else going on right now.
Yeah. Unless you want to talk about Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. Did you
Mortal
get it?
Kombat. Shut up. No, I
I'm
didn't.
sorry.
No. But I do know there are a lot of fans that are not very happy with it. But
Well, they made a patch for it. For those of you guys who don't know what we're talking about, basically there was a decision made by Mortal Kombat devs to or publisher, who knows, to put all of their to put a lot of the cosmetic and skin stuff. And different fatalities, and I don't even know all the details. I'm not the hugest Mortal Kombat fan, but put all that in a single player game mode called Towers or something like that. And
Yeah.
basically, as you complete these towers, you get a chance to unlock them. Sort of like, I don't want to say loot boxes, but sort of like a loot box. It's a random chance, and. There are, of course, you can buy chances at this without having to play through this stuff. And the immediate feedback when it was released was this was super grindy, and it seemed scummy, like a way to try to incentivize people to spend real money on top of a $60 game. The devs had come out maybe 24 hours, 48 hours after the game came out and said, no, that's not true. They issued a patch maybe a week later where they increased the drop rates. I've heard mixed reviews on that. I don't know firsthand, so I can't really say stay away, but just look into it. If you're thinking about getting Mortal Kombat, do your research, see what the more recent response is. I know on Steam it got review bombs pretty hard when it first came out. What have you read, Sherry?
just probably about the same what you were just saying then. I know our friend Vertical Sprite has been, he's I think quite a big Mortal Kombat fan, and he was playing it on his stream, and he said pretty much the same thing about the grindy effort that you have to put in order to actually get anything decent from it.
Okay.
You said you posted something in our Discord the other day about was it like they like halved or shortened the length of time for gaining something?
Yeah, the basically the number of levels you had to go through to get a chance at these unlocks. I mean, here's the Steam review page for the last 7 days has mixed results, which is not a good sign. Everyone says the same thing. The gameplay is absolutely fantastic. It's a brilliant fighting game, but the somewhat shady way that they've kind of hid bonuses. You remember when you buy a game and you just unlock things just by playing the game, and there'd be like milestones. They're trying to put that on these huge treadmills, and then allowing you to like play it long enough to realize how long the treadmill is, and then go, or you can give us $5 or whatever the value is. Every big AAA game developer is doing this now. It's not just like, oh, it's just EA or it's just Ubisoft. Everyone's doing it. They said the $60, this everyone used to say all mobile phone stuff's fine, but they'll never put that in $60 games. And it's 2019, and everyone is doing it, so it's just part of it now. You either support it or you don't. And what I do is I wait. Now, as I wait for the $60 games that I want, that I know do this, I wait 3 to 6 months, and they go on sale with the deluxe edition that has everything unlocked, usually for half the price anyway.
Yeah.
And that sucks because you're not supporting the actual game developers, and they're going to. Hopefully, it makes them, re-examine that. Hopefully, there's enough backlash to this kind of stuff that they stop doing it. But
yeah. The segue. Speaking of re-evaluating things, do you want to talk about the Sonic movie?
Sure, let's do that. So first off, just to remind everybody who is listening to us. I'm not the biggest Sonic fan. Cherry loves Sonic, 1, 2, 3, and maybe some of the other ones?
Mainly the first 3, yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, when this trailer came out, if you guys haven't seen it, stop what you're doing. Go look up the Sonic movie trailer right now. Pause this. Go watch it. Okay, if you're back, you paused it, and you've watched it now.
Now go and get therapy.
Oh, my God. What in the hell? I mean, you know how many people that video had to pass for them to go, no. Yes, put that on the internet. And
I think this it was raised a few times after like it had been absolutely smattered all over Twitter, but I think a lot of people were saying that the problem wasn't with the production company itself. It was probably more the higher ups that were just probably never seen Sonic in their life.
Right.
But it turned out that even Sega had an issue with the way he looked. So,
yeah, I mean, doesn't it just scream to you like what could be wrong with a Hollywood produced movie now? Is that everybody involved, everybody that animated that probably knew it was a huge mistake. Yeah. And I'm sure the people, like the PR people who are going to talk to us, like I don't know if you saw the Jeff Fowler, who is part of the production team. He might be director. I don't know. Said. He tweeted like the next day on May 2nd, "Thank you for the support and the criticism. The message is loud and clear. You aren't happy with the design and you want changes. It's going to happen. Everyone at Paramount and Sega are fully committed to making the characters the best he can be." Yeah. It's like Sega's probably like, "Bitch, we told you." What I thought was crazy is I saw on some news show last night that. Have you seen the videos that have floated around on Twitter afterwards of people who've like completely fixed it to make it look more like those came out like 2 hours after the trailer launched?
Yeah.
So that's either some psycho dedicated fan who's really good at CGI, or maybe the animators who were like, no, this is what it's supposed to look like. I already had it done.
I never thought of that actually.
I mean, I'm speculating. I don't know at
Conspiracy.
all. Yeah.
Yeah,
anyway, what do you think? As a fan, is your soul hurting?
It was, yeah. Because I refused to watch it because I'd seen like stills of it, and obviously like the little teaser thing that they brought out months ago. And again, you posted it in our Discord before I had a chance to or realised the trailer was actually out. And just from the thumbnail, I was like, no, I'm not watching that. It looks like a horror film. But I caved and eventually watched it. And just throughout the whole thing, I was like, there's something wrong with him. And I can't put my finger on what. And then eventually when, like, I'd rewatched it a few times, I started sort of analysing it and putting it side by side, like the old school Sonics. And if you take away the disproportion of his legs and his body, it's his eyes. His eyes are the worst thing about it.
Right.
It's so bad. If you haven't seen it, go and look up some pictures of it, and you'll understand what we're talking about. But it looks like I said this to you before, but it looks like Sonic has kind of gone from like the cartoon version and tried to morph himself into a human, and then got stuck halfway.
He's not quite realistic, not quite cartoony.
Yeah. It's just a weird amalgamation, that style that they've gone for. But if they are fixing it, then kudos to them, because
you don't have to look very far to see it done much better. And I don't care about Pokemon at all, but have you seen the Detective Pikachu stuff? Those those characters look realistic, but still somewhat cutesy and somewhat fit their world well. And this Sonic, I mean, and it's got Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik, which is just like, what? I mean, he's not.
Yeah, this is the other thing that I had a massive beef with as well, because well, for one thing, they're calling him Dr. Eggman, which I have an issue with, because growing up he was always Dr. Robotnik, and they somehow moved over to calling him Eggman.
I have bad news for you. Bowser was once King Koopa, so when they switched him over to Bowser, I had the same problem.
But he wasn't established, was he?
Yeah, he was King Koopa for the entire Mario 1 and even into Mario 3. He wasn't Bowser until like Mario World.
Okay, so you know how I feel then.
Oh, yeah.
But like, if you take his name away, that's fine. It doesn't have any massive impact. I'm happy with that. But again, the character model is something that I have a massive issue with, because if you look at the reason that he's called Eggman is because he's shaped like an egg. He's quite a tubby guy, and in the trailer, Jim Carrey isn't. So I don't know.
I have a theory on that. I think he's going to get transformed by one of his evil experiments halfway through the movie. They're going to save it for the movie.
Well, if you look at the trailer again, it gives you there's 3 sort of stages for him transforming. So he starts off relatively normal. He's got like a normal mustache and dark hair. Then it kind of transforms into his mustache is a little bit more eccentric, a bit more wavy. And I don't know if he has the goggles on in the second picture.
Yeah, he has some red goggles on, flying a ship at some point.
Yeah, and then the third one is that he's got the trademark massive mustache and the red garb that he wears, but still no sign of him being shaped like an egg. So I don't know. It could happen.
Maybe that's what they'll do. This will be his origin story. He's going to be Dr. Robotnik, and something's going to twist him and turn him evil. And then he's going to turn into Eggman at the end when he blows up and he's real fat.
But you're probably right, because from the way the trailer has sort of outlaid it, no one knows about Sonic. Yeah. So it could be, like you say, it could be an origin story, but who knows?
I have a feeling that they're gonna touch up all that CGI and put out another trailer here in a month.
Yeah.
And then it'll be like, they listened to us, let's go see the movie, and it's still going to be shit.
Well, yeah, most likely. The other thing is that someone actually made a point on Twitter, the fact that because of all this backlash, and they've now decided to backpedal and redo or style Sonic slightly differently, they've not changed the release date of the film. So either the artists are going to be working around the clock to actually get that done. It's already been done, and they planned it from the beginning, or it's going to get pushed back. So
yeah, it could be. It could be that like redoing the CGI may be not as time consuming, since they're just superimposing it over shots that have already been recorded. It's not like they got to go refilm it, you know.
No, maybe they meant to do it. Maybe that's why.
Oh, it's a conspiracy.
I know.
They're new coking us right now. But now that you know how I feel when your favorite beloved mascot gets a terrible movie released, like Mario did. So the next bit of gaming news, we'll go into a bit of a deep well here of information. We talk a lot about MMOs, and last time we talked, not MMOs, I'm sorry, Battle Royales, and the last time we talked about one was the upcoming, or the brand new released Apex Legends, and there was an article released late last month that the big drop has really spooked investors, and come to find out that Apex, or EA, when it launched, they dropped a bunch of money on big streamers to like make it appear to be to be more successful than it was, and it got a lot of interest going for it. And those big streamers were paid to play it a lot and to say it's the Fortnite killer. They were paid to say this is the Fortnite killer. So it caught on and had like 40 million people, which is double what Fortnite had when it launched. However, in like 3 months' time, 4 months' time, it's dropped down below almost to 10 million. So it's while 10 million active players is great, it's literally like 25% of what it was, and it's now roughly half of what Fortnite is. And Fortnite's been maintaining that 20 million. It took a little bit of a hit when Apex first came on, but people went right back to Fortnite at like the end of the month or end of the year, en masse. And I think people jumped from probably multiple battle royales and have gone back. And you know, the investors are noticing this, and this is all based on Stream Elements, their viewership of Twitch. So you've got the number one game right now of quarter one is Fortnite. League of Legends has come back up now with 300,000 people or 300,000 hours watched in quarter one of 2019. Apex Legends had dropped to number 3 at 182,000 hours. A couple of other things that have really come, blown up is GTA 5 on Twitch has got this role-playing server thing going on with a couple of big streamers. I don't know exactly where this came from, but was the number 3 game streamed in March, and that's up. And you know how something has taken off when you hear like your friends talking about it. I know Snuffus has talked about it, and maybe Typical Teddy has talked about it. And wow, it's just really come out of nowhere for a couple-year-old game. That's pretty impressive. I know it's popular seeing it on the Stream Elements data, but like when just people we know are starting to talk about watching people doing it and how fun and exciting it is.
Yeah, it
seems like a really neat idea because you're watching a story unfold, sort of like by an improv group, I guess you'd say, and so you don't know what's going to happen. It's kind of interesting. I've not made a point to watch any of it yet, but I'm sure I will.
Yeah, it was really weird because I been browsing Twitch or like my splash page when I come to Twitch. On recommended games, like GTA was like one of the top ones, if not the top. So I was like, that's odd. I know they've got role-playing servers, but it just seems to have had a massive surge lately. I have seen a few role-playing streams, and it does depend on the streamer, I think, to make it entertaining. Because you have to, depending on what type of server you're on, you have to abide by rules, and if not, you will get kicked. So you literally have to play as a law-abiding citizen. And if you do anything illegal, you will get arrested for it. You'll be put in jail. And there was one streamer that I've probably mentioned before called Barjo, an Australian streamer, and he is super entertaining, which plays well for him in the role-playing streams, because his personality comes across. What they tend to do is turn the webcam off and kind of take the role.
Their character,
they take the role of their character that's in the game. It's just basically your character going around. Barjo has this one which he has portrayed as a newcomer to the city. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't have a place to live. And you are watching this story unfold, and I guess watching how he makes his way in the city as a new patron of that. So it is quite interesting, but I do think it does depend on what the kind of stream that you're watching as well.
Is Badger the guy with the real radio voice?
Badger, I don't know.
There's an Australian streamer that I was watching earlier today play with Cardboard Cowboy. They were playing
League of Legends.
League of Legends, yeah.
That'll be him, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember I heard him, and he sounded very, very radio-friendly voice, but in a little Australian accent, obviously.
He has been on Australian TV. He was on a show called Good Game, and they did like game reviews and stuff like that, so it's probably where he gets it from.
Nice. But yeah, he seemed like a really nice guy, and watching him and Cowboy play League of Legends.
Yeah.
It was funny because I made a comment about how there's some League of Legends character. I don't follow League of Legends. In fact, I watched it today for probably the first time.
Yeah, I don't
and there's a
think I've seen
character who looks like Sonic. I go, that looks more like Sonic than the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
It's funny because if you go into Bajo's stream, his sub badges are all Sonic as well,
Oh, nice.
and he's got I think it's the 1.5 years sub. It's a really spazzy Sonic. It's like the blue, typically blue Sonic, but like it's got massive googly eyes on him. It just looks really funny.
Well, let's talk about everyone's favorite topic. Rocket League publisher developer Psyonix has announced that it's joining the Epic Games family. So that acquisition is expected to close in late May or early June. They issued a statement basically saying that the game will still, for now, be sold on Steam, and if you bought it on Steam, it will always be supported. If like I know I bought it on Steam, so
Yeah.
they're saying they'll always support the Steam version. But I think most people expect that it's going to be migrated over to the Epic Game Store before it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? If they're buying Psyonix out, then more power to them. Hopefully, there's enough money to be made in Rocket League for them to make it worth their while. But
See, this is a thing that when you first mentioned this, I didn't know this had happened, and you literally brought it up like an hour before we started recording this.
yeah,
And I kind of went back and forth with it in regards to why they've bought Psyonix and essentially Rocket League, because while it's a really well-established game, I feel like everyone has it already.
yeah. So what I kind of think when I think about this, and I don't work in game publishing. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. It just my armchair quarterback, which is an expression you guys probably don't even have. My Monday morning coaching analysis says,
Yeah.
okay, if you're Epic Games right now, what's your biggest goal is to get people to go, I want a PC game. I'm not going to Steam. I'm going to Epic. And sure, a lot of people have Rocket League. Almost everyone we know has Rocket League, or they've made the decision whether or not they're going to get it. However, if Rocket League comes out with a Rocket League 2.0 update where they do a bunch of crazy stuff, or maybe they make a separate client, an upgraded client in the future, you can only get it through Epic Games, that kind of stuff. Or if they put out exclusive content on the Epic Games Store only for that version, that could literally tear people away, make them rebuy it, or maybe they'll give it away for free just to get you in the Epic Games Store, because that's what their president, and his name's escaping right now, has said, that he goes, putting our money into making Epic full featured is not the right way to go to build our brand. He goes, we got to get people playing first, and then we'll add stuff later. We got to get people spending their money on the store, and that's making people aware of it. Like marketing basically is what they're doing right now by buying out all these exclusive licenses. I hate it. I hate it because I'm already bought into my old store. But if you're the president of Epic and you're trying to grow your store, he's probably not wrong. It sucks because we're just pawns in the game at this point, as fans, as gamers. We literally get nothing for that exclusivity except for being forced to go there if the game we want's there, and that's literally all they care about right now.
Weirdly, I've just been reminded about an article that I was reading on our BBC news website a few weeks ago, and it was an article that was involving a multi-billionaire over in China, and he was people were debating whether the 12-hour day, 6-day work week worked, because apparently that's what his company does. They work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Wow.
And he was they interviewed or got some quotes from him and stuff. And at the end of the day, I was like, why does he care? He's getting the product done. He was saying production has gone up, sales have gone up, blah 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 blah. And I was like, he's not doing that. Why should he care if these people are working themselves to death for 6 days, probably for pittance over in China as well.
Right.
But the same with Epic. Why should the owner of the Epic store care if their store looks garbage, by the way?
Yeah.
That is my main
We all
issue.
know you have heavy, hard opinions on this Epic Store business. It cracks me up.
I've said this before, but I would be more inclined to use the Epic Store if they had a better interface. I hate the interface that they've got because you just cannot find anything. And honestly, if I know what they're saying, where they're wanting to get gamers on board first, but they have to look at something like the interface of their store as well in order to attract more people. Because I honestly do think that if it was well or better set out, it would encourage more people to use it.
Yeah, I agree that it's terrible for consumers, and I'm just quoting him. He basically said, I'm paraphrasing here, I'm not quoting him. He basically said, yeah, I hear you guys complaining, but shut up and just come by. If you want the game, you'll come here. If not, screw you. I mean, that's basically what they're saying.
Why would they care?
Right,
if they're getting sales from it.
Yeah, if you're the president and you go like, okay, I've got $100 million, and in order to upgrade the interface and to make it more presentable, I need to spend X% of that on this, or I could spend 100% on the thing that will move butts in the seats, and I think that's why it is, as much as it's irritating. And I think I brought this up last time we talked about it, but Steam started off very much the same way. It was bare bones, but there was nothing like it. There was nothing to compare it to. It was brand new, and I remember being very upset about having to have an online, always on connection to play a video game. And here we are, in 10 years, 20 years later, and we're like, oh, that's just normal now.
But I think at this point in the development of game stores and splash pages and interfaces and all that kind of jazz, I don't think they've made the most of what they could achieve.
No, absolutely not.
If they did, they would definitely have more leverage over Steam. I just think they just need to implement themselves better.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I guess we'll see how their strategy pans out. If they reverse course and decide to, like, hey, we heard you, we're going to put reviews in, we're going to put a sort button on the top. Do they even have a sort button?
No.
I don't even know. Here's what I'll tell you. I don't even look at it.
Hang on, let me just grab it up, and I will give you a quick rundown of what it looks like.
I'm opening it as well.
So
an update is required.
This is just a massive list of all the games. They don't have a sort button. They have a search bar. That's it. They've got news, help, and Unreal Engine tab. And
in case you want to buy a copy of the Unreal Engine.
I don't know, actually. What's it?
The Epic made the Unreal Engine. That's kind of like how they got famous. I have to sign it. I'm not even signed in.
I was reading about this, the Psyonix acquisition actually earlier, and they were saying that one of the reasons that they've done it is because it will give them, because Rocket League has their own tournament in the esports world, and it's a massive thing. But the move over to Epic, they feel like it will give them more exposure and probably more revenue in order to achieve what they want to within the esports world. So if that's what they want, then that's fine. Yeah, they've absolutely nothing against that.
Yeah, you're right. This store is shit.
It's just an endless scroll of games. There's no way to filter what kind of game you want. If you don't know what you want game wise, you're just going to be scrolling forever.
Yeah, it's got I'm going to guess 25 to 30 pages as I scroll through here. I found the bottom, but at the bottom there's mod editors.
Yeah, seen that one.
And then just all the games. Now, and this is why they're giving away these free games. They're basically going to these publishers who are like, look, you can sell through Steam at 30%, give Steam 30%, or let us buy your game for 50% off and for a week and give it away on our store, and you guys advertise, we'll advertise it, it's free. Like, they've got World of Goo and Stories Untold. World of Goo is like a 10-year-old Wii game.
Yeah.
Stories Untold I never even heard of. I'm going to imagine it's like a
look.
What?
Stories Untold is a narrative-driven experimental adventure game that bends the genre into something completely unique. Combining a mix of classic text-adventure, point-and-click, and more, 4 short stories are packed together in a single mysterious anthology that's been described as a fantastic, fascinating example of interactive visual storytelling.
Wow, so a choose-your-own-adventure book. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe I'm not here to shit on Stories Untold. Maybe it's a great choose your own adventure game, but what I'm saying is World of Goo and Stories Untold would probably be $5 or less titles on Steam, and you got to remember they were giving away $30 brand new games or recent games like that Ashen game. They got exclusive access to it and then gave it away. So
wow.
they got me to play it because it's like a Dark Souls kind of game.
I do remember that one. Yes.
Yeah. That's the only reason I have Epic even installed. So it works.
Yeah.
They
have you gotten anything else from Epic?
No, I didn't get Metro Exodus. I liked Metro, but I liked it it was on Steam on sale for $5, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good for $5, but I wouldn't pay full price for it. There's nothing wrong with that game. If people who love that game, it's an amazing game. It's just kind of like not something that drives me, that game.
Yeah.
Vampire the Masquerade's Bloodlines 2 these are pre-orders. Yeah, Division 2 is on there. I don't know. I don't have a deep hatred in my heart for Epic and their store. Like I would much rather it be more full featured, their store.
Yeah.
But I'm not that worried about it, to be honest. I think I got a Unreal Tournament, the new one, and it's not very good. And I've got Subnautica, which I've never even launched.
Yeah.
That's all I've got.
Yeah. Going back to my previous point, I do think that if Epic want to make this a long-term thing, and it looks like they are, attempting to take on some of the big hitters, i.e. Steam, they do need to do something with their store, because I don't think, if they keep it this way, I generally don't think it will turn people off if they end up having a lot more exclusives. But the thing with the exclusives is that they're going to be at the top of the screen, at the top of the page as soon as you enter the store. So they're always going to have the upper hand with that.
So I think this is a long way of saying screw Epic.
No, like I said, genuinely, if they sorted this interface out, I would be more inclined to use it, because they have Borderlands 3. I really want to play that. I can see it. It's staring me in the face right now. And there's other games that Dangerous Driving was another one.
Okay.
That was exclusive to Epic, but again, if I hadn't have known the name to that game, I would have had to scroll for about 5 minutes to be able to find it. So I just think it's very it's not very user friendly. That's all.
No. You're more of a browser type when you go to a store, right? You like to browse the shops.
Yeah, with Steam, I do it all the time. If they give recommendations of different games based on the ones that I've bought before, and if I'm just bored, I will head to the recommended games and just have a little look through there.
Yeah, that feature came out probably 2 or 3 years ago. And I'll tell you another shop that's not very good, and that's Nintendo's eShop.
Oh yeah,
it's way better than it was on day one, but it's the Nintendo Switch has been out for over 2 years now, and it's still pretty like, it's a lot. There's like a deal section, a featured section, and then there's like their search bar is really slow and clunky, and it doesn't list it the same way. It lists it like an Excel spreadsheet instead of
I get you on that one.
The big splash screens that you'll have on their featured page. But
you know what? At least you got that option.
Yeah. At least you can pick some nits there.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's enough time for this week. Cherry, is there anything else that we need to touch on before we go?
No. Maybe next week we won't rant about Epic.
No, I'm pretty sure we will. That's just going to be a regular feature. How much do we hate Epic this week? Because I got no dog in this fight. I don't like having to have a separate launcher for some games either. In fact, when Blizzard came out there, I'm like, Jesus Christ, you could actually set it in Steam. Just real quick aside for anyone who doesn't know, if you go into Steam and you can add a non-Steam game, you can actually point in Steam to the launcher or to the executable file for other games, and it will launch it. It'll open up, Uplay or the Blizzard launcher or whatever this one, Epic. But if you like having all your games in one screen, that's a real nice way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I do with Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah.
Just launching it off my desktop immediately opens Steam and Ubisoft as well.
Exactly. In case you have a whole infrastructure of friends Steam list Steam friends list you've built for the past 20 years or however long it's been out.
Yeah.
I think it was 2004 when it launched, or 2005, something like that.
I don't know.
15 years ago. Anyway, back when I was 5 years old, that's when it came out.
Sure.
Sherry, how can people get a hold of you?
If you guys want to contact me in any way, shape, or form, you can do on Twitter. I'm at cherrycake518, and you occasionally see me on Twitch these days as twitch.tv/cherrycaketv.
By the way, before we go into my section, you want to give people an update on your shoulder injury? How you doing?
Oh, it's getting better. It's still got a way to go. I still have very little strength in it, but my movement is getting a lot better. So,
Is your tennis game getting better?
Yeah, I'm ready to play with Serena and other tennis players.
Yeah, I couldn't name. Was it Venus and Serena Williams?
Yeah,
the tennis pros. Beyond that, my stuff goes back to the '80s, like Andre Agassi and stuff.
Yeah.
I am over at twitch.tv/Crunky with 2 N's, and I'm at CrunkyTTV on Twitter. And we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.